I'm joined today by a guy who goes under Renzo F at Mugen Fighters Guild, if that's correct. When you were doing your first things, did you go under a different name or?
Yeah, actually, people used to call me Renzoku,
Uh,
like the attack that Vegeta has on Dragon Ball.
okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometime after that, I decided got my real name in there because by that time we didn't got Facebook or any social network in there. So I wanted like to express that I was a real person. So I started using my name.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right. So now we have that bit of information. Where did it all begin for you? Like, when did you find out about Mugen in general?
Well, it's no surprise that I'm actually a fighting game enthusiast. So
Mm.
I was looking for a long time some way to actually build a fighting game or at least be have some kind of involvement on it. So I read about this really old and really crappy fighting game engine called KOF 91. I don't know if
Uh,
you heard about it.
I know about it.
Yeah. In that one, you use the PCX files and you got like really no option for it. So by that time, I used to go to emulation news sites. One of them was Emulatronia, a Spanish one, and I read the news about a new version of something called M.U.G.E.N just released.
Wow.
So I just followed the link and the rest is story for me.
Interesting. Like, I think I first saw anything Mugen related was some Dragon Ball Z versus Marvel compilation from like 2001.
Yeah, that kind of stuff was really rampant by
Yeah.
that time. Everyone wanted to do that kind of stuff back in the days. So Dragon Ball versus I don't know Street Fighter or that kind of stuff was really popular by that days.
So, your first character ever, you said that you actually lost track of, and it's like become part of history, and that we'll never see it again. So, we went with your second work instead. You want to tell us about that and what made you go with that one?
Oh yeah, of course. My first, actually, the second character was Pocket Ken with the sprite from Hem Fighters Minimix. So what I really want to do when I don't know work on a character is not actually get like a perfect conversion for it, more like have I don't know a personal style to it. So by that time I was really engaged by Third Strike, and I was playing Ken obviously because he was top tier.
Hmm.
But to create a character based on that play style because I don't know the parry thing was really appealing for me to implement in Mugen. And I really like the sprites that Hem Fighter Minimix had, so I make actually a mix of the two styles.
Hmm.
And after that, I went to do two more characters with that style, Sangif and also Goki.
Hmm.
Was really fun doing them because I had to well actually create the code for some stuff that I think that wasn't really well implemented by the time, and also I have to edit some sprites because they were in the game. So
Hmm.
it's really fun for me and was the first character, and I had a really fun time doing that.
Sounds like it's a lot of things that you just kind of had to deal with that a lot of us take for granted now. Even
Yeah.
it's just insane. So you said you kind of just meshed a lot of stuff together as
Yeah.
far as gameplay go. Was there any other reason for the gameplay that this character had outside of just things you liked?
I even tried to like get the different modes on the character. For example, like giving Ken some kind of Sean style, like Sean
Mm.
from Street Fighter 3, and get a Ryu style in there. That's why the character has the Shin Shoryuken. But it wasn't until I built Zangief, I created Zangief that I actually give different stuff based on the palette or on the colors that you choose for the character. So by the time it was kind of hard to rip stuff from emulators because actually CPS2 emulation was kind of new. So you didn't have all the libraries that you have right now to just take the sprites and start building. You had to rip everything from scratch, not knowing about stuff like Artmony. You have to clean the sprites manually and well, all that stuff. Really hard time for for creators back then.
I can imagine. Like,
Yeah.
I think I manually ripped something from like the Super Nintendo because I wasn't aware you can do it cleaner than that at the time. And That
Yeah.
character was a train wreck, so we wouldn't even talk about it that much. So besides some of that, what other big challenges or ordeals did you have to go through at the time to
Uh,
pretty much get that done?
Well, I think sometimes I try to go for perfect conversion. After doing this, all these characters, I try to get all the, I don't know, hit times and the hit stand times and the damage and all that kind of stuff. Not
Mm,
actually like going for the original game, like having Ken for Street Fighter 3 and getting all those values and then taking them into the actual pocket character. So getting them for emulators that didn't have a function like, I don't know, stop and then advance frame was really hard. So I started working with harmony by that time, and I had to do stuff like getting track of variables and going, I don't know, frame by frame, trying to figure out where the actual variable for position or damage or the animation timing was located. And I think some guys back at the guild by that time started figuring out that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it was really time consuming process to get that. I think that nothing had changed from that day because if you want to go for that kind of fidelity on the character, you have to do that. But I don't know, there's more too much people that now know how to do that. Back in the time, you were like, I don't know, going blind around, just experimenting. And it was really fun at the same time. It was hard, but really, really fun.
that's like, I don't know if many people can even fathom the amount of work that people had to do back then. When I was coming in, it was still easier because like Art Money has been out for a while, and all of this was just nothing too difficult to do. You guys were the pioneers, and there's a ton of respect for that reason that I have for you guys. Given what you know now about Mugen and how it works, if you were to play with your first characters now, what advice would you have with yourself back then?
Actually, I played a bit with the characters I just sent you, and I feel like the hit death values are really off. Like, I don't know, too much hit stun or too low corner push and that kind of stuff. And advice that I could give to my former self is just looking into that little details and get them like better done. And also, actually, I found the first character that I created,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, it was a really really incomplete version. It didn't even have like the supers. It was from Metal Slug, and the reason for having this character created was because by that time there was an arcade in front of my university. I was around, I think, the first semester, and I was totally engaged by Metal Slug X to the point that the machine had in all the positions my initials. Like you have 10 positions for the high scores, and everyone had my initials in there. So I was really into that game, and I decided to do a character. I don't know why, a fighting game character created from a shoot 'em up or a run and gun game. So the advice is maybe trying to go straight for more complex projects. I ever really wanted to do something that was no chibi or pocket character. If you see all my creation, there are pocket or chibi. I don't know why I didn't do that because I think as was you heard the people talking about how harsh was the community back then. Like if you took something from other person without asking for permission or even having some kind of creation that wasn't like a perfect conversion, I don't know, really well done, people could be really, really harsh. So I think I went for this kind of style because I was a little afraid to get bad feedback from it. But right now it's just for fun. So my advice to my former self is like trying to do what I really wanted to do.
That's pretty much a lot of things I would honestly say to myself too. Back then, I was just more or less getting a feel for what I was getting myself into more than anything else. But speaking of back then,
Yeah.
your history with the community goes back a bit further from mine. When you say that there was just more than just an unrequestable era, which honestly wasn't that long ago. Like, what was it like back then, even for you?
Well, actually, I started going to forums because I downloaded this character was Strider Hien from Kenshin. And this guy used to go and lure in Mugen Dev forums that it's from a lot of people, the really old people come from. For example, I don't know what. I think that come from that place. I think that people like Orochi Herman, JJWE. I think that also Bia used to go into there. A lot of people come from there. So the place was like the elite place to be. All the really good creators were in them, but actually it was a really hard place to be because you get one mistake and you could be banned in there. Like just took a piece of snippet of code in there and you could have a ban for doing that. But at some time, these guys, the admins in there, realized that they were too harsh on the rules and started going like more open, like letting people really do their stuff, like going around and if they got one mistake, like saying, oh, you know, this against the rules, but you can go and have one more opportunity to it. And I think that after that, the forums, M.U.G.E.N Dev forum, were went black, and they all the people started moving into the current guild. And also, the guild has several like different eras. For example, I think the guy that founded the forum was Nunor. I think I could be wrong, but I remember this name. But he's not there anymore. So there have been several eras. A really short time was an admin in the guild, but it was really time consuming because the forum was really active back then. Creation going around, but I decided to step down because it really consumed me a lot of time. I was working and I don't know, moderating and having a work at the same time is really hard. But it was fun, really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like if you really enjoy the community and hanging out and doing all that, it would just be like more or less hanging out with people. I don't think I was a mod of anywhere important, like outside of like a couple small offshoot moving forums that don't really even exist in today. Like I don't even know if you heard of Ascended M.U.G.E.N. That's pretty much gone. Like it lasted from 2007 to 2009.
Not really.
Yeah, we're not missing out on much.
But we got like, I don't know if it's still around, like M.U.G.E.N Infantry and some Brazilian forums. And also we have like our little Latin forum called M.U.G.E.N Hispania. Like M.U.G.E.N Hispanic. I used to lure around there because all the Hispanic people was in there, obviously. But I think that the biggest one has always been like the M.U.G.E.N Dev and then the guild. The guild is the place to be if you are into M.U.G.E.N, honestly.
Yeah, it's like one of the vast major communities left now. Yeah. Like when M.U.G.E.N Infantry died, that felt like another end of an era kind of deal. Because I started there and I was first hosted there, and when they first disappeared, I had to get new hosting, and then that place disappeared. Things like Club Syndicate, that place disappeared, and I think. Yeah, I spoke with, I don't know how to really say his name, with like Titlin or something like that, and I was like, well, if you guys want to host me, that'd be great. And 3 years ago, here I am now. But for your characters that you had to make, did you ever have to ask for help with some of the things you did, or?
Oh, obviously. I think we have back then the trick, the AI activation routines made by G.C.N. Mario. This guy was really a genius about coding. Also, I think I asked for some kind of feedback on the characters. I remember people that it's not in there anymore, like a guy that was obsessed with, I think it was Yuri, called Jorge H. Campos. I remember the guy because he was totally obsessed with Yuri Sakazaki. I don't know, there's a lot of people. Actually, I have background in computer science, so I really like M.U.G.E.N because it was like programming, but soft programming. I didn't have any problem with the actual language, the script, but more how about doing certain things. Like what does this do? Like this state controller, what exactly it does. So I remember having help from some people. I don't have them in mind, but what really made me happy was when someone comes, see my character, and took code from it in order to get some character done. I don't remember if it was E, the one who did Hauser, the one from Red Earth, but actually my code for damage scaling that I implement in Pocket Goki to actually build in Hauser. And you know, that made me feel like good because I haven't been like a big personality in the M.U.G.E.N forums. I am more a guy like is back in the shadows, like more to help people achieve things more than actually programming really big or or excellent characters, but that kind of stuff really made me happy being in forums, like helping people. And actually, my days an admin or mod in forums were because I used to help a lot of people in the development help forums inside the M.U.G.E.N Guild. I'm really into this kind of stuff. I really like programming, and also by that time, I think it was around 2003, I had a course in the school. It was a Java programming course, and I had to build a game. So the game was about volleyball, but I really wanted to do a fighting game. What I did was some kind of Tekken Ball clone using something similar to state controllers, to the air animation format, and obviously using the SFF format for the character.
Right.
So I think I could look into that if I still have the code around. I can send you to see what I've done, but it's really, really fun. That was really what I really wanted to do. Like coding a real engine.
Yeah, like I believe E is actually working on the engine for Bia, but I'm not sure if that was public knowledge or not. If it isn't, I'll just edit that out. But me and Jesus Zilla and a couple other people, we were all gonna mod Eichmann at one point to make it a more of a standard engine, but we never got around to it.
Yeah.
It was like right before I started working, doing what I do, because I'm also a developer. It's like meeting another person in the same area, like computer science degree, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a road that I've walked on. So when we talk about how things were back then and we compare it to things are now, what would you say that beginners now need to know? Like, what advice would you give them if they wanted to start out like tomorrow?
Right now we are in the, how to call this, people doesn't really want to learn stuff. It's like they come to a really steep curve or learning curve for something, and they don't try to learn by themselves. It's like the first thing that they do is going straight to ask for help. It's like, there's a lot of people that had to start like reading the documentation, or the same advice that everyone gave to the beginners back then was like, take Kung Fu Man and just start fooling around with the values on the code. Like, see what they do, what you can do. So I think that people right now want like immediate results. Like, I don't know, it's like trying to learn a new language. I mean, like trying to learn Japanese in just one day.
Right.
So I think that people has to be like resilient, like trying to learn something that's going to take you time. So don't be discouraged if this takes time. I have like 15 years in this business. So to get to the point that I'm right now, it took me like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. Maybe it's not going to take you that much of time. Maybe you are more smart than me. Maybe you have more free time that I had back then. But don't be discouraged if you actually think that the things are going to be like really difficult. It's like try by yourself and then ask for help. It's really better if you come and see and say something like, I tried this and tried this and tried this and going into circles and I want help. But people these days seem like just going into there and saying, I don't know shit about this, just help me. What kind of help do you need? I don't know, just help. So it's like people have to take time to learn stuff. So don't be discouraged by that. Just try to read, try to take your time to learn the ropes, and then ask for help after that. It's going to be really, really better if you do that, besides going just asking for help without now not knowing anything.
Yeah, because as you said, it took you 2 or 3 years. It took like I didn't really hit my stride till like my 4th year when I was like consistently breaking out stuff that I was proud of and that I was like, yeah, I got that right. Like I think the first time I tried to do a Marvel 2 style character, it was pretty bad. And even now, it wasn't until like 8 months ago that I did a final patch on all of them were finally feeling like they should. But I think I still probably may have missed something somewhere. I'm not sure because a lot of stuff never really gets pointed out to me. But that's something important that I think a lot of newer people should try to understand. Like, no one makes gold their first try. No one. If they do, then they are a god among men. But I'm not one of those people. I don't know anyone who is this. But I think that's what they would need to know or at least try to understand. I don't know if they feel this false sense of pressure since they like, well, I really like this guy's characters. I want to make stuff like him, but I don't want to learn how they got that good.
Yeah, yeah.
That it is what it is. That's just how I see things now. So we're getting pretty close to the end of this thing. Do you have any last words that you want to say, pretty much about anything?
Yeah, I'm trying. I try to be really brief for this, but the first one is like for me. I think the guild is the place I really like to hang. Yeah, I've been going into there. I think for 12 years straight. Poses on there, like getting really disconnected from the community, but. Right now, it's a place that I go to talk about fighting games, about video games, about movies, all that kind of stuff. I mean, some of my friends go into NeoGAF, but I like to hang around here. It's like I know a lot of the people. Actually, I want to go and visit some of the guys that I've been talking about for almost half my life. So when Luis Alejandro told us about going to Evo next year and make a gang from the M.U.G.E.N Guild, I was really excited because right now it's really easy to get in contact with people, but I don't know, with the people of the guild, it has been only the forum for me, but I really want guys to know you in person. Uh,
Mm.
I'm really excited about it. And I think the other one could be this hobby teach me a lot of stuff that right now I'm using in another hobbies. Like I'm really into the competitive fighting game community here in Peru. Actually, I'm some kind of, I don't know, community leader, if you want to call it. Like
Wow.
I have a group of friends that did some of the tournaments around here. Like we like to do the events, organize tournament, and that kind of stuff. And learning about Mugen and how to define silly stuff like a hit death and that kind of stuff gave me a lot of knowledge on how to actually play a real video game. Like I know better than other people because I feel like this stuff has helped me a lot about it. So
Wow.
that's it.
Well,
That's it.
yeah, I had no idea. That's pretty cool, actually, because I knew that the fighting game community has been blowing up for a long time,
Yeah.
ever since like 2008, I guess. I guess the whole since the Street Fighter 4 era came about. Anyway, any place that did have a fighting game community, we definitely knew they did at that point.
Yeah.
And like when I went to Evo, I was just blown away with all the different people who came from all over the world to play video games. In that
Yeah.
aspect, I had the time of my life there. It's my hope that everyone gets to go at least once in their lives. It's something you have to experience.
You have to do it. And just a quick note about it is like right now I know so many people around the world, like people from Chile, people from Panama, people from United States, I don't know, people from Japan. And it's impossible for us to travel to each other countries to spend time together. So it's just like our annual meeting to go to Evo. I
Yeah,
went years straight. I wanted to go this year, but actually I couldn't go because I have a job.
yeah,
I actually have a job right now, but I couldn't go. But next year we are going to go with some friends and trying to get all these people that knew in the previous year to get a meeting and try to make this like a tradition, a really expensive tradition, but a really cool one. It's
yeah.
like I can recommend enough someone that is really into fighting games to go into there to make the effort at least one time in their lifetime because it's the experience, really good experience.
Oh yeah. Like it's almost like a pilgrimage for me. Like every fighting game fan should go. Like
Yeah,
that's the one thing you should do in your life at
yeah.
least once.